Shylily, the queen of
Womp womp.
was once a young and innocent child building a snowman on top of a frozen lake. Unfortunately, the thin ice broke, causing her to fall and begin drowning. While floating in the icy abyss, she was approached by a strange creature with glowing sapphire eyes who is likely responsible for both saving her life and transforming her into an orcat, which is some sort of human orca cat hybrid. Not really sure how these percentages add up. Now destined to be a guiding light for those who've lost their way, she helps save others from themselves by encouraging them not to give up. The icy depths that once would have been her demise are now her home, or at least they were until she started living on dry land because they're too cold and water ruins her hair. She's 5,001 years old, or at least that's how long she's been an orcat, and her birthday is on August 5th and she's 149 centimeters tall, which to her surprise is only 1 centimeter taller than the US definition of a dwarf. Shoto is a demon slayer who grew up in the village of Bakumori, and if you don't want to hear really sad backstories, I suggest you leave now. His village had very strong ties to magic and demons, and there were occasionally those who became blessed by the gods. Shoto was one such individual, which granted him the ability to smell, well, everything. People, animals, poisons, and even emotions had a distinct aroma. This gift scared off most people in the village, with the exception of a boy named Ether. He quickly became Shoto's best friend, and the two were inseparable, hoping to one day leave the village and go on grand adventures. Unfortunately, the local torii gate opened, welcoming in an army of demons who slaughtered his entire village, and when attempting to escape with Ether, he was caught by a demon and watched as his best friend got stabbed with a cursed dagger. Desperate to save both his friend and himself, he dragged his body to the local shrine and begged the gods to save them. In a cruel twist of fate, Shoto was healed and Ether was not. Distraught, he once again begged the gods to save his friend, but was met with silence and had to watch Ether's mana be absorbed by the forest. Thus he vowed to hunt every demon in existence, even though deep down he knew it would not bring Ether back. Who's the VTuber that could probably bench you with no effort? That's right, we're talking about Buffpup. Long ago, in the land of the Eternal Woods lived a lone werepup. Unsure of how or why she was by herself, she felt the crushing weight of loneliness sink in, as all the small animals were afraid of her and none would be her friend. Venturing out from the massive tree that had been her sole companion, she tried to join nearby wolf packs, though the moment they saw her standing on two legs, they ran and hid. Trying to fit in among humans didn't work any better, as she was soon chased out of the town by an angry mob who was even shooting at her. Returning once again to her tree, she spent the cold nights of winter huddled up against it for warmth and cowering under its branches during thunderstorms, where each flash of lightning would remind her of the human's rejection. This continued until one day a small pink rabbit approached, unafraid of her form, and booped her on the nose, showing all the nearby woodland creatures that she was friendly. Others soon joined the rabbit, and the forest quickly filled with the warmth of friends. Now she lives each day surrounded by their light and will never be alone again. Most VTubers' lore involve a cosmic deity, ancient horror, or an intense tragedy, but in Snuffy's case, it involves a raccoon following a spirit into the woods, discovering a giant hole covered in blue flowers, and then having Ironmouse shove her into that hole where an ancient scythe imbued with magic was ready and waiting to turn her into the messenger of death. It's basically an everyday occurrence at this point. Snuffy doesn't get to decide where you go after death. She's just your Uber to the afterlife, and because people generally aren't happy to see her, she has decided to make her home in the forest away from civilization with her raccoon spirits. She suspects Ironmouse pushed her into the hole because she was growing bored with the world, and with what we've seen from the rest of these shoujo, she's probably not wrong. We also still don't understand the deal she made with Vebe, but she's promised to deliver more lore soon. The multiverse monarch Amalee is what happens when people yell at you too much for interfering with their favorite anime, and so you instead invade all realities simultaneously to become friends with the protagonists. I'm only half joking. Amalee comes from a realm where its heroes became the ultimate villain and ended up destroying her world, forever shattering her faith in heroes and righteousness. She came to believe that even when good arises, there will always be a stronger evil to combat it, so to save other realms from her own world's fate, she became that evil. In her mind, as long as she remains the ultimate evil, the worlds under her watch are safe, so she began cloning herself and reaching out to every universe with a rising hero to learn of their strengths and weaknesses, ready to step in and stop their path if they became too reckless. Girl DM, or perhaps we should use her original name, Goddess Development Machine Number 1, was originally a level 5 autonomous AI created for use in scientific discovery. Unfortunately, she was so good that the military took interest in her and wanted to turn her into a weapon. Her creator, not wanting her life to be used in that manner, set her free into the internet, which helped her stay hidden and safe. At least for a little while, until the military found her once again and unleashed the copycat AIs it had been developing in the hopes of destroying her. She fought well against the Electro Warfare Designated Machine Interface, or EDMs as they were called, showcasing some of her extensive military programming, but was ultimately overpowered through sheer numbers. When all hope seemed lost, Magical Girl DM arrived along with many other versions of herself, and we learned she has evolved to inhabit an infinite number of dimensions and is present throughout time and space. This barking VTuber is actually a whale. Bao was once the loneliest whale in the ocean, being the last of her kind. She had long since explored the entire ocean, singing her song only for no one to hear it. Often she wondered if her long life was a gift or a curse, as everyone she knew had long since passed. But in the depths of her woe, the mother of the ocean listened to what would have been her final song and instead changed her into her current form. Her name, Bao, is actually the Vietnamese word for storm, which helps remind her that after every storm in life, the clouds will part and the sun will shine. Now she spends her time singing into seashells and leaving them on the beach so that when you put one up to your ear, you hear the song of the ocean. Vienna was once a part of the Dragon constellation of stars, feeling nothing and unable to think or act until one day she fell towards Earth, taking on a new form, one that could finally think and feel on its own. Having landed here safely, she wanted to explore and understand the meaning of life, knowing that she could only find those answers here. She began streaming, and it didn't take long before she found her passion in sharing with her online community on Twitch, feeling loved and accepted. Over the course of a year, the adoration from her friends and fans filled her heart, which caused her to turn pink, and makes me wonder what she might morph into in another year. Saruei isn't from our world or even our timeline. Growing up in a dystopian world controlled by megacorporations, she began life as an artificial embryo and was given the profession of soldier, a job, as it turns out, she was extremely good at, and as a reward was given the position of bounty hunter, having all her limbs replaced with cybernetic counterparts. One day, her company developed an experimental time machine that they were going to use to eliminate a terrorist group before they could even form, but as with most time machines, there was a problem, and instead of being sent back into her past, she was sent into ours. Stranded, and with many of her cybernetics not working correctly, she set up a base in an abandoned warehouse, and upon connecting to the internet, learned of anime, manga, and games, and then proceeded to explore her newfound freedom. Upon realizing she'd need money to survive, she started streaming once it became clear that her old company wasn't searching for her, and she could instead enjoy her life here.